Hey guys, tonight we're slipping through vines, ash, and jungle fog to visit the very edge of time according to the last astronomer of the Maya world. You're standing barefoot in the cracked stone of Copán, where the calendar isn't just a way to mark days. It's a sacred map of destiny, and the stars, they're gods with clocks for hearts. Tonight's story starts when those celestial clocks begin ticking ... backward. You'll witness prophecy, betrayal, and secrets buried beneath the temple floor, all through the eyes of a man whose final prediction shook an empire. Oh, and you probably won't survive this if you take a wrong turn into the jaguar pit. Seriously, keep your head down. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as always, post your location and local time in the comments. Let's see where. And when you're watching from now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Smoke. You smell it before you see it thick. Woodsy, drifting up through the steep corridors of a city that's losing the war against time. Copán's outer temples still catch the sun in places, but its plazas now echo with fewer feet. The ball court lies silent. The jade offerings are smaller, duller. Cornfields on the hills have turned skeletal, and even the priests have begun whispering that the gods have gone silent. And yet in one crumbling corner of the city, past a staircase lined with glyphs that no one alive can fully read, you trudge toward a forgotten observatory. Vines thread the stone like veins. Inside, beneath a broken skylight, a single man waits, surrounded by bundles of bark paper scrolls and obsidian discs. The astronomer. He's older than most of the city's monuments now. His hair is tied in the ancient triple knot of a kintha. He of the sun, but he wears no jade. His robes are dusty, his fingers stained with ink and ash. He speaks to no one but the sky, and tonight, that sky's not answering. You settle beside him as he adjusts the carved shell disc aligned with the evening star. Venus, the morning warrior, is late. Again, you feel it too, he mutters, not asking. The gods are off rhythm. You nod, though you're not entirely sure what off means when it comes to cosmic cycles. But he's right. Even the wind carries the strange hush of something slightly ... wrong. For centuries, Maya astronomers like him ruled more than temples. They ruled meaning. They tracked the gods through the sky, mapped eclipses centuries in advance, and declared which days were lucky enough for births and which unlucky enough for sacrifices. But now, every pattern is slipping. Eclipses arrive early. The moon lingers too long. Venus disappears altogether some nights. Here's your mainstream historical fact. Maya astronomers could predict celestial events with jaw-dropping precision. They had tracked the 584-day Venus cycle, eclipses, and the 260-day ritual calendar long before Europeans even knew how many planets there were. But that was then. Now. He points a finger to a low-burning torch and holds out a scorched codex pages, flaking at the edges. Not all prophecies were shared, he says. Some weren't meant for kings. Some were meant for ... after. You raise an eyebrow. Very film trailer of him. Then he opens the codex. Each page is a chaotic dance of glyphs and colors. Twin serpents eating their tails, jaguar paws in a ring, turtles upside down. But one image catches your eye, a full solar eclipse painted black, not red or gold. Above it, a date you can't quite translate. But the numerals repeat the glyph for 0, the long count calendar, he continues. Everyone talks about the Bactins, about the 13.0.0.0.0 date, December 21st, 2012, they called it. As if time ends like a door slamming shut, he snorts. Children's stories. According to this astronomer, the ending of one Bactin wasn't the final prophecy. There was another set of numbers hidden one few priests would even acknowledge. A date where the Bactin didn't just end. Looped. The true danger, he claims, is an apocalypse. It's Recursion. And now for your fringe tidbit, some lesser known. Maya text suggests time is not linear, but spiral. Certain codices even depict God stepping out of one era and back into an earlier one, as if fate hit rewind. But who benefits from that? The kings ignore it, he says. They think power moves forward, that war expands, that maize will grow if we chant loud enough. They forget. The gods don't move in lines. They dance in circles. A shout echoes. In the distance, the astronomer stiffens. The fire in the plaza, he murmurs. Another temple burned. You look out past the ruined lintel and spot orange flickers. People are panicking again. Famine is tightening. Priests are sacrificing. More animals, more blood. Still no rain. Historians still argue whether Copán fell due to drought, warfare, or overpopulation, but from this window, it feels like all three have shown up at once. Like bad dinner guests, the astronomer hands you a round stone disc. It's obsidian, etched with a spiral of tiny glyphs. The glyph for mirror repeats 7 times around the edge. This was buried under the temple of the glyphs. Hidden by my predecessor? Told me it would only make sense when the stars stopped behaving. You look closer and something moves, not literally, but the glyphs seem to twitch at the corners of your eyes. You blink. The feeling vanishes. Probably just shadows. You'll need it, he says. You open your mouth to ask return from where, but he's already rising, collecting scrolls, tying them with dried maize husk. Then, very quietly, tomorrow, the eclipse begins. But tonight, I must find the hidden chamber beneath Temple 3. You follow him as far as the steps. Stay here, he says. The path is sealed with traps. Only the old glyphs know how to pass. If I fail, he presses your hand. Watch the sky. Count the seconds. The reset isn't a story. It's a pattern. One that's almost ready to repeat. And with that, he disappears into the dark. You stay there, counting seconds. 1, 2, 3. The stars are not supposed to do this. You lie on your back on the cracked floor of the observatory.
Always.
Where the stone is still warm from the day's heat. The astronomer hasn't returned. It's been hours. And up above, through the broken skylight, the sky performs its strange betrayal. Venus, normally so precise in its arrival, flares then vanishes again. You blink. Wait. Still gone? You sit up, instincts tingling. One of the astronomer's glyph scrolls has come unwrapped, its ink glinting faintly under moonlight. You crawl closer. The drawing at the top is unmistakable. The 5-pointed star of Venus, sketched along a spiraling calendar. Underneath, a second symbol, scratched more violently. A hand open. Empty, you know. Enough glyphs to interpret this one. The day the gods drop the thread, you step outside the observatory into night air buzzing with insects and unease. The city isn't asleep. Below, Copán is restless. Fires flicker. In too many corners, dogs bark without pattern. The wind smells like copper. You climb. The observatory tower is a stone spire etched with celestial charts.
Oh.
Long abandoned by priests who now prefer rituals over watching. The stairs are shallow and uneven, clearly not built for comfort. Halfway up, you pause to catch your breath and notice the first real anomaly. The stars are too still. Not metaphorically. Not poetically. Literally, they don't twinkle. They don't drift. They stare. That's not how stars work. They shift. They spin. But here now, it's like the whole sky has gone into freeze frame. You wave a hand in front of your face, as if to test whether the air still exists. It does. You're not dreaming. At the top of the observatory tower, there's a carved bench aligned with the solstice line. And sitting there somehow, possibly is the astronomer, only ... not. He's frozen too, one hand mid-motion, holding a stone stylus. His eyes locked upward, pupils wide. Face lit faintly blue from the unnatural stillness above. You speak his name, no response. You reach out your fingers, stop a few inches from his robe. Something in your spine tells you not to touch, instead. You circle him slowly. He's breathing, barely, but he's trapped in something, a moment, a field, a thought. And then, in your peripheral vision again, movement. But this time, not in the sky, it's in the stone. The far wall of the tower shifts ever so slightly. You press your hand to the carved serpent glyph and it gives. The wall slides aside with the hush of old secrets. Inside, a chamber no bigger than a closet, lit only by ambient moonlight. And at the center, mounted on a small platform, a stone device, like an astrolabe crossed with a mirror, obsidian surfaces, concentric rings. In one small jade bead at the center, pulsing faintly green, welcome to your mainstream historical fact. The Maya were master engineers. And their observatories like the one at Uxmal or Chichen Itza were perfectly aligned with celestial events, especially solstices and equinoxes. They even built viewing portals that acted as star trackers, syncing architecture with astronomy long before telescopes. But this is something else. You kneel before it, afraid to breathe. The rings of the device are covered in glyphs, and as you squint, you notice something unsettling. They're moving, even though the stone itself is not, just the reflections. Like watching shadow puppets mimic text. One ring reads, "The Count of Echoes." Another, "Night Zero." Repeated, and the smallest "He Who Sees" resets. You should probably leave it alone. You definitely should. But naturally you don't. You reach toward the jade bead. It's just a light touch, and everything goes black. For exactly 9 seconds. You know it's 9 because when the world clicks back on, your breath catches Anne from somewhere inside your mind. You've been counting. The astronomer is no longer frozen. He's blinking, confused, mouth slightly open. He sees you, nods, and says, "You saw it too. You don't even know what it was." "I warned them," he mutters. But no one listens when time misbehaves. He pulls a second scroll from his robe, this one brittle, edges singed, and opens it with shaking fingers. There's a chamber under the Temple of the Glyphs, sealed. Only 2 people alive know how to enter. Me, ... And now you sigh. Obviously, but before you follow him down the tower, you glance once more at the stars, and this time they are not where you left them. Orion is rotated. The Scorpion has split. Milky Way cuts the wrong line across the sky. It's subtle, but real. A scholar might call it impossible. Historians still argue whether the Maya believed the stars were literal gods or just tools of prophecy. In this moment, you feel like they're watching back as you descend. The astronomer finally says what he's been avoiding. It's not that the calendar ends, it's that it folds. You stop. Folds. Nods. Like maize dough. Time. Stacks. And when enough weight builds up, when too many wrong sacrifices, too many missed signals, too much blood offered without balance, then the layers collapse. And that means he holds up 3 fingers, 3 days. Then 2. Rituals. Then 1 door. You don't know where you're going anymore. It's only that you are now walking beneath a city built to forget what it buried. And in the back of your mind, the stars shift again. You're underground now. The Temple of the Glyphs looms above. You've taken the hidden way, a slanted tunnel lined in limestone, slick with ancient sweat and centuries of secrecy. The walls are close, uncomfortably so. Every few meters, a carving marks the passage. Glyphs of time, of jaguar feet, of teeth. Always teeth. The astronomer walks ahead of you, his torch held low. Shadows stretch strangely in here. They don't move like they should. The calendar doesn't stop. He murmurs again, almost to himself. It reboots. He glances back. To see if you're still with him? You are, though your legs are beginning to ache and your torch keeps guttering. The air grows denser with every step, like the tunnel is reluctant to give up its secret. A sharp turn, a sudden drop. He kneels and gestures toward a patch of blank stone. It's here. You squint, nothing but a flat, pale wall. But he reaches into his robe and withdraws the obsidian mirror disk he gave you earlier. Hold it, you do. The carved spirals on its surface catch the torchlight, and suddenly glyphs bloom across the wall in shimmering green. Not ink, not paint. Something else entirely glowing, alive. Like the stone has grown bioluminescent skin. Welcome to your quirky tidbit, though no direct evidence of glowing glyphs exists in Maya ruins. Some archaeologists believe certain temple murals may have incorporated natural phosphorescence, like crushed fireflies or bioluminescent algae into ceremonial paints. You know, just in case secret tunnels weren't eerie enough. Already, the wall begins to hum. Low. Subsonic. You feel it in your chest before your ears can register it. Then it opens, not dramatically. It's just a clean crack down the middle, like a mouth parting in mid-yawn. Cold air breathes out. You step through. The room is circular, domed, filled with objects you do not have names for. There are 7 stone columns. It's carved with a calendar glyphed one for each Bacton that is passed. The 8th is bare, waiting. There are 3. Drums, sealed with thick cords of twisted leather, and an altar that's not for offerings, but for recording. On its surface is a codex. No cover. Just dozens of long bark paper leaves inked in pristine black, untouched by fire or time. The astronomer doesn't hesitate. He walks straight to it. This is the one they were afraid of, he whispers. The codex that shouldn't exist. You approach slowly. The first page alone punches the air out of your lungs. It shows a serpent eating not its own tail, but the tail of another twinned loops, devouring one another in a paradox of beginnings. The glyph beneath reads, cycle within cycle, the next. Few pages are even worse. One shows a temple burning backward, fire reabsorbed into stone. One shows a priest watching himself perform a ritual. He hasn't done yet. One shows the sky raining stars. But in the wrong direction up, you flip to the center. There. You find the second long count date. Not 13-00000. Not the one you've heard a million times. Turned into doomsday memes in Hollywood blockbusters. This one is 13.13.13.13.a. Number that shouldn't even exist. Calendars don't double. Not in Maya reckoning. That's not how the Bacton system works. But here it is inscribed in perfect ink. A time beyond time. You understand now, the astronomer says, sounding very, very tired. They thought 13-00000 was the end, because they didn't want to face the alternative that time doesn't end. It accelerates, and at this date. It spins so fast it breaks open. You close the codex. Too much, too fast. Your hands are shaking. He continues carefully untying one of the sealed drums. There were 3 prophecies, he says. One told 2 kings, 1 2 priests, and 1 2 U.S. keepers of the sky. What happens, you ask, when this date arrives? He looks at you. Really looks. Everything again, only ... different.
Historians
Still argue whether the Maya calendar was meant to be predictive or purely ceremonial. Some say the so-called end date was never intended as apocalyptic, just a marker of transition. But in this hidden chamber, among artifacts no one above has seen, the distinction feels academic at best. The astronomer opens the drum. Inside, a carved jade plaque. It shows a human figure kneeling before a serpent-headed deity. The figure holds 2 hearts, one in each hand. Choice, he says. That's all the prophecy ever meant. Places the plaque in your hands. It's heavier than you expect. The hearts are inlaid with tiny rubies, one polished, one cracked. The final cycle is not about destruction, he says. About remembering which path led here, in choosing whether to walk it again. Suddenly the chamber begins to shake. Low rumble, not from collapse, but from music. A vibration like the grinding of stones inside a giant's chest. Early, he mutters. I thought we had another day. The jade plaque begins to glow. Not just shimmer glow. Hot in your hands. Above you, the dome ceiling shows stars shifting again. And this time, something clicks in your brain. The patterns aren't random. They're reflections. The device from the observatory wasn't just a tracker. It was a projector, and now it's active. You turn to ask him what to do, but he's already sitting on the floor, cross-legged, eyes closed. His voice calm. I'll stay here. My part is done. But you have to carry the pattern forward. Where? You whisper, he smiles. Up, where the stars are breaking. And as the chamber lights pulse around you, the codex glows open to a final page, not glyphs. It's not drawings, just a mirror. And in that mirror, your reflection stares back. Only it's already moving before you do. You run back through the winding tunnel, torch flickering wildly as if trying to warn you of something your brain hasn't caught up to yet. The jade plaque is strapped to your chest with a strip of knotted cloth warm against your skin. Mirror disc is clutched tight in your hand, its spiral edge biting slightly into your palm with each step. You're not even sure why you're running, but the stars are shifting again. And the air above Copán smells like it's been waiting 1,000 years to exhale. You burst into the open just as the sky darkens, in a way it never should. Not cloud dark, but eclipse dark. The moon is rising, already half swallowed by the shadow of the earth, except this isn't when the eclipse was supposed to happen. Not according to any codex, not even the hidden ones. People in the plaza are screaming. Some are on their knees. Others are throwing offerings into the fire pits, anything they can find. Shells, beads, cloth. One panicked woman hurls a live turkey into the flames, feathers igniting midair. Squawks once, then silence. And above it all, the moon turns red. Not the soft amber of a typical blood moon, no. This is vivid, raw, like a fresh wound carved into the night. The temple of the glyphs looms behind you now. You look back. No sign of the astronomer. You know somehow that he will not return? Whatever was written in that final codex, he became part of it, but someone else has appeared in his place. A boy, maybe 12 years old, hair bound in a loose knot, a shoulder wrap embroidered with constellations crookedly. Eyes too calm for his age. He's watching the sky, not the chaos. When he finally notices you, he tilts, his head curious, not afraid. You saw it, says. You nod. He holds out his hand. You hesitate, then place the obsidian mirror disc into it, examines it, traces the spiral. Doesn't ask questions. Just pockets it. They'll think it's ending again, he murmurs, almost annoyed. But it's only folding. He turns and walks toward the observatory tower. You don't know his name. You don't ask. You just follow as you climb out of you. Notice the eclipse above isn't behaving normally. The shadow is moving the wrong way. Instead of revealing the moon, it's wrapping it tighter, devouring it. Welcome to your mainstream historical fact. The Maya associated lunar eclipses with dangerous omens, especially for rulers and high priests. Rituals were held to protect the city and ensure the shadow didn't permanently consume the moon, which they believed could plunge the world into chaos. But this feels like the ritual has already failed, or never began. The boy reaches the top of the tower and holds the disc up to the sky. A faint green shimmer appears over the surface, then spreads, like a film stretched across the stars. You blink. Once, twice. Now the sky itself is changing. A spiral of constellations rotates slowly, visibly, like the heavens are on a turntable. Orion's belt spins out of alignment. Scorpio bends into a circle, and at the center of the spiral a new glyph appears. You've never seen it before, neither had the astronomer. A hand holding a seed, overlaid with a serpent's tongue. I don't know what that one means, you say. The boy shrugs. It's not from before, it's from after. He pulls something else from his wrap, a small codex, no bigger than his hand, made of folded bark paper, but brand new, fresh ink. Blank pages. Time needs a new record keeper, he says simply. You flinch me? No, he says with a smirk. Me, you're just the delivery system, okay? Rude but fair. As he opens the codex, the spiral in the sky begins to tighten, like a whirlpool spinning faster. The eclipse pulses in sync, brighter red, and suddenly a shade of deep violet. You glance behind you, the city is watching, people have stopped screaming. Now they're just staring, quiet, holding hands, kneeling. Even the priests have stepped down from their altars, and you realize no one knows what to do, because the calendar never told them what to do after. You turn back toward the sky. The spiral is collapsing inward. The mirror disc pulses with each revolution. And at the center, something is forming. Not a planet, not a star, a symbol. The same mirror glyph from the codex. But now it's moving. folding inward, then blooming. Out again, like a flower made of numbers. Historians still argue whether the Maya had any concept of infinity. Some say they couldn't imagine a world without a defined start and end. Others suggest their entire worldview was built on infinite recurrent cycles. Rebirth, the eternal return. You're starting to side with Team Infinity. Then the boy starts writing. Not words, not sentences, just glyphs, one after another. Spirals. Jaguar teeth, the glyph for wind repeated 3 times. Each glyph he inks glows faintly. Each one matches a new star appearing in the sky. You whisper, "Is this a new calendar?" He doesn't look up. It's not a calendar, it's a key. What? He shrugs. Depends on who finds it next. The sky tightens one last time and collapses inward. For one long heartbeat, there is no light. There's no sound, not even breath. And then the stars reset. Perfect clarity. All back where they belong. Venus flares on cue. The moon emerges. Normal. Again, and far below, Copán exhales, softly. Like a child waking from a nightmare. The boy closes the codex. Hands it to you. You'll bury this, he says. Somewhere they'll find it. But not yet. Not for a long, long time. Take it. Still warm. Still humming. And as the sky calms above, you finally feel the earth still beneath your feet. No shaking, no pull, no folding just now for the first time in days, or maybe centuries you're in the present. You descend the observatory tower in silence. The codex is tucked safely inside your tunic now, pressed against your ribs like a second heartbeat. The city below is quiet, no longer trembling in fear, but unsure, hesitant, as if everyone can sense something monumental has happened, but no one wants to be the first to name it. In the plaza, priests are whispering among themselves. You hear phrases like divine sign, false eclipse, and sky reborn. One of them notices you, eyes narrowing at the sight of your soot-smeared tunic, your unsteady steps, your obvious knowledge of something unspoken. But he says, "Nothing." You blend into the background. A shadow among shadows. You make your way back to the astronomer's observatory. No one stops you. The torchlight flickers along familiar stone, though now. Everything feels different. As if the place has been cleared. Not just of dust or scrolls, but of weight. As if time itself has shed a layer. Inside, the chamber is untouched, save for the obsidian viewing device at its center, is gone dormant. Still, the jade bead no longer pulses. You kneel before it anyway, resting the codex beside it like returning a key to a long-locked door. The astronomer, true to his word, is gone. Whether he walked deeper into the temple or became part of that strange glyphic spiral in the sky, you can't say. But somehow, you know he completed his purpose. You begin sorting through what remains. Scrolls half-burned, glyphs half-written. One final page catches your eye, an unfinished chart of Venus's path annotated in red ink. Too late. Already looped. Must leave clue. You roll it up and add it to your sackle. Later that night, when the city sleeps uneasily under the post-eclipse stars, you leave Copán. No grand exit. It's just you, the codex, and a path west through the jungle. You travel light, skirting rivers and old trade roads. Days pass, then weeks. Stars behave as if guilty for their earlier stunt. Venus rises exactly when she's meant to. You begin hearing stories in the villages about the eclipse, about a boy on a tower, about a second calendar no one dares write down. Versions are already diverging, mutating like all good myths. 1. Tale says the gods returned for a single night, judged humanity, and chose to spare it. Another claims the moon swallowed the sun, spat it back up because it was too bitter. A few say a man walked backward into the stars and left behind a book that glows when lies are near. No one mentions the astronomer. You reach a cave in the highlands, not marked on any map, not even well hidden. But when you stand at its entrance, you feel the pulse, that hush of rightness, as if the cave has been waiting just for this. You enter. The walls are carved with the usual jaguar motifs, but here and there you find new marks. Spirals, teeth, a single seed. You dig a small trench in the driest corner. Line it with bark and cloth. Place the codex inside, careful not to fold its edges. Cover it gently, and before sealing the entrance with stacked stones, you whisper the only words that seem to fit. You're not a calendar. You're a question. That night you dream, not of gods or stars or serpents. You dream of a city you've never seen. Metal towers, lights that flicker like fireflies. People with glass rectangles in their hands, pointing at the sky, laughing at old predictions. You watch as one of them enters a museum, glass cases everywhere, and they're on display. Your codex, behind the glass, glows faintly. People press their faces close, reading glyphs they don't understand, whispering about a prophecy no one ever quite agreed on, and among them, child stares longest, silent, focused, familiar. You wake with the sense that the story has only just begun again. The jungle hushes around you now, thick with fog and the scent of wet stone and sap. The last stars fade quietly into the morning sky, and with them, it's the remnants of what you've seen. Eclipses bending backward, mirrors that remember, and calendars. Not meant to end, but to echo. You've walked the steps of an astronomer who knew time wasn't linear, who knew endings are illusions, who etched his truth into hidden scrolls, sealed drums. And jade mirrors not because he feared the future, but because he trusted someone like you would come along, someone willing to listen, to carry the spiral forward, and now as the first. Light of dawn touches the ruins of Copán. Your breathing slows. The trees sway gently. A bird calls once, then falls silent. Even the insects seem to pause. You feel the weight of the codex in your memory, like a story humming at the edges of your mind. No longer urgent, just ... present. Whatever happens tomorrow. Or in 13 backtons from now, tonight you've been part of something ancient and strange and maybe eternal. So let that thought settle over you like the soft warmth of a woven blanket. The stars have aligned. The sky has reset. For now, just now, you are exactly where you need to be. Close your eyes. Sleep easy. Time will keep.